Hello and welcome to the Pop Council Podcast, the show where we cover everything in pop culture. Each week on this show, we discuss topics in the geek world as well as various fandoms such as Disney, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, theme parks, and everything in between. I'm Jami, Philbrick, editor-in-chief of Movie Phone and a board member of the Hollywood Critics Association. We have a great show for you today. We will be discussing first reactions from Thor, Love and Thunder, Obi-Wan Kenobi finale, Spy Kids remake, reboot, Jon Snow spinoff, and Dune 2 casting, and much, much more. But it would not be Pop Council Podcast without my co-host, Wendy Lee Seydoux. Hey, Wendy.
Hello, Jamie. How are you? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. How was your weekend?
It was, you know what? I actually played a little bit of D&D last night. It's really random. We have a little home game going on in our group, and I don't know if we're inspired, from watching Stranger Things or whatnot. And this is a game that we kind of put on hiatus since January. So we, dust off those dice trays, dust off the D20s, and had a pretty good night. It was fun.
Awesome. That's super fun. Always good to get a little D&D in on the weekend.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a Pop Council without another member of the council. So we're going to welcome back from Empire, James White. Yay!
Hi, folks. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Wendy.
Hello. Welcome back.
How are you?
Thank you very much. I am good. It's great to be back.
Welcome
back. How was your weekend, James?
It was good. Restful. Just watched geeky stuff, basically. Basically my usual weekend, let's be honest.
Good. Yeah, I caught up on, I was back one episode on Miss Marvel, so I was able to catch up on that. And just fast forward right to the Illuminati in Doctor Strange 2 on Disney Plus, and just watched that scene and called it a night. So that was fine. Just flash forward through everything else and just get right to Mr. Fantastic. We've got some great things to talk about today, but as it does tend to happen here on the show every once in a while, is we got some breaking news. So we just saw this morning, as we were about to come on the air, that Emma Roberts has been cast in Madam Web, the new film for Sony, along with Dakota Johnson. So we don't really know what role she'll be playing or too much information outside of that. And there's a lot of casting been happening on Madam Web, so it's going to be interesting to see a lot of actresses who skew younger, perhaps, than what we would imagine the lead character of a Madam Web movie being the age of and looking like. So let's start with James, our guest. I'll throw it right to you, James. What is your thoughts on Emma, and as well as where we're kind of going with a lot of younger actresses being cast for Madam Web?
Well, it is an interesting idea, because traditionally in the comics, she's obviously an elderly woman who needs basically a life support system to keep her going, and that imbues her with sort of psychic abilities, clairvoyant abilities, and she can see within the spider world itself, which I'm not sure how your life support system actually does that for you. If I knew, I would buy one, because that sounds very fun. But yeah, the casting has been really interesting. You've got people like Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria is in the cast. You've got Isabella Merced. You've got Celeste O'Connor. You've got people like Tahir Rahim. All sorts of people like that. Dakota Johnson obviously is playing the main sort of Madame Web character, as far as we can tell, unless they're about to announce that someone like Helen Mirren will be playing the Madame Web with a handover. That would be cool. Would that not be cool?
Yes.
But maybe awesome. It's a situation where there is a Madame Web and something happens to them, because there is a passing of the torch in the comics. So I'm thinking that might be the route they're sort of looking to go down, a passing from one generation to the next, and then this new younger cast sort of taking over and really doing the story. So I'm just interested to see how they make it work. It's such a mystery for now how you make it work as a movie, but it does seem like they're going in that more youthful direction.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It certainly does look like they're using the sort of handoff idea of the different characters, and I like the idea of maybe like a few different Madam Webs in the film, and how they all kind of come together. I loved your idea of casting for Helen for that. Who else, Wendy? I know Jamie Lee Curtis comes to mind as well. I can see her maybe doing this. Who else do we like that might be the sort of older Madam Web passing off the torch, if that is indeed what this is going to be?
You know, it's interesting. I feel like we have, James has a really great point there talking about, the younger cast, younger parts, right? So we have a Dakota Johnson, we have a Sydney Sweeney, and we have an Emma Roberts. And I pulled up a photo of her just in case anybody forgot what she looked like. Here she is. And so like, what if for these three actresses, that we do have like a, slightly older counterpart for them. So if you want to put like Helen Mirren, Jamie Lee Curtis, I will throw Julianne Moore in the mix.
Oh.
I would love to see her in a superhero film. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think she's fantastic, and I think she would definitely bring a certain energy to the film. But that's really interesting. Like, they keep adding, and they're not giving us anything about anything, which I kind of love, because a lot of the times, and sort of as journalists, we look for the information not because we really want to spoil it for ourselves, but it's our job to be aware and to be in the know. But sometimes you go in knowing too much. Yeah. So for a little bit, I do enjoy this like mystery that's surrounding this movie, because it's a really good cast so far, and I literally have no idea who's playing who, other than maybe they're all variations of Madame Web, like James pointed out.
Now I'm gonna go into a real. Okay, there's an English actress, and James, you may know who I'm talking about. There's an English actress, an older English actress, very skinny. She was famous recently for like a moment that she had on Graham Norton with Lady Gaga went viral. Do you know what I'm talking about? And she's like an older lady. She was dressed kind of crazy like Lady Gaga would be dressed. And I've got to figure out who this actress is, because she looks like Madam Web in the comic books. Like, she's really skinny. Really, Wendy, do you see it? It was this viral moment on Graham Norton's show between a British actress and Lady Gaga. I wish I could find it. And I want to say like maybe she was in a Harry Potter movie or something. Like, as a Brit, I think you'll know who it is.
Was it June Brown? Is that?
Oh, that sounds right.
The one, I mean, she would be great casting. There's one tiny little problem with that, and that's the fact that she died.
Oh, she died.
Oh, no.
Did she die recently?
Fairly recently, yeah.
Oh, then I bet that's who I was looking at.
Yeah.
They have appeared on the show together before.
Yeah, I'll look it up to her the next time, because I was just thinking of that. I was like, she looks exactly like the comic book, but she passed away recently. Well, check out that bit on Graham Norton, but she was hilarious with Lady Gaga. Hopefully that bit will continue to play out there. So, well, we'll have to just wait and see who comes up next as far as casting for this movie. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to like when we have a little bit more information about what Madam Web is. I think we know it's coming out next year. They're going to be starting shooting soon, I would imagine. So the more information that we start to get sooner than later about what this movie is actually is going to be interests me, and how it's going to fit in with obviously what we've already seen, from Morbius and from the other, Venom and the other sort of live action non-MCU spider person movies. So it's going to be interesting to see as we move forward. But we did actually know that the premiere of Thor Love and Thunder happened this past week. Wendy, I believe you attended the premiere. Is that correct?
I did. I got to go. Yeah. It was a fun carpet. Yeah, that's awesome. I as well got to see the film at
in an undisclosed location in a very secret, location elsewhere, not at the premiere, but I got to see it as well. So we are embargoed still about what we can and cannot say as far as reviews for the film, but social media reactions are already out there, and seems to be most people who have seen the film at this point did enjoy it. And I certainly can add my name to that list as well. I enjoyed the film. I really, really liked Natalie Portman's performance, as well as Christian Bale as the villain, Gore the Butcher. I thought gave a great performance as well. And of course, not to take anything away from Hemsworth, he was great too. But for me, I thought really Natalie and Christian stuck out. What about you, Wendy? What were a few of your favorite moments that you can talk about?
I mean, obviously seeing Chris Hemsworth back as Thor is probably, my favorite. I can't imagine watching another actor take on the role of Thor. Like from the second he was cast, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And then it just progressively have grown. I'm just like, there's no one else that could be Thor. But I gotta say, Natalie Portman's Jane Foster, specifically in this film, is my favorite Jane Foster in all of the Thor films. And I'm trying to keep it really vague because I want to be respectful for the people who haven't gotten a chance to see it yet. You guys are going to love Gore. I am not sure exactly if they took license from the comic books for Gore, but from a couple of people that I've spoken to who are fans of the comic books, they are really liking it. And of course, it's Christian Bale too. So, his performance was already going to be 100%. And then the goats. I know it doesn't mean much for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet, but I'll just say you want to pay attention to the goats.
I believe they are in a trailer.
They're in the trailer.
So
yeah.
For those who haven't seen it yet, can I have an idea? Yeah. Watch the trailer, have an idea of what
it's just very Taika. If you didn't get that from Ragnarok, then you're definitely gonna get that in this film, because I feel like he dialed it up a little bit more. But he also gave us the horror stuff, which I really wasn't expecting, but I loved that we got. So I think this I don't know if I can't rank it yet because we're embargoed, but I'm kind of like trying to play favorites between Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, and I have to watch both films one more time to decide. It's up there.
I find when the sequel and the original are so close to, like, I had the same issue with Deadpool and Deadpool 2. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out which one I liked, because I love them both. And the same with Guardians and Guardians 2. I think for me, for a long time, I would go Guardians 1 just because it was the original, and the same with Deadpool because it was the original. But the Guardians 2 has been on TV a lot recently. I don't know why. They're showing it on TV a lot. Every time I turn it on, I flip on some channel and I get to catch a few minutes of it. And Guardians 2 is really strong, really good as well. So, I hope that it's going to be a situation where it's like, that's the best problem to have, right? Is where you're arguing over, no, the original is as good as the sequel. No, the sequel's better than the original. You know what I mean? That's a good problem for a studio to have.
Oh, yeah.
If that's the issue, is I'm not sure which one is, they're both so good, I don't know which one is better. So what are you looking forward to with Thor, James?
Well, not having seen the movie like you two, I'm not jealous at all. I would say, well, I'm a big fan of Ragnarok. I love Taika Waititi, and Wendy's mention of Taika dialing it up and being ever more Taika just delights me. I mean, I like his style. I love how he's able to blend the comedy with the heart, with everything else. He can do action well. Obviously, he's got the Marvel team behind him, but he knows how to shoot action that makes it work for the characters. And yeah, I'm really thrilled that they brought Natalie Portman back to really give Jane Foster something, from the looks of the trailers alone, something amazing to do, just something different from, I was Thor's girlfriend. Oh, I'm going to pine after him for a bit. I mean, she had some character stuff in the first couple of Thors, but nothing that was really, you don't really hire Natalie Portman and then only get her to do certain things. So this feels like, yes, this is the full proper use of Natalie Portman. Plus, I'm looking forward to seeing more from Tessa Thompson because I think she's great. And from the looks of the trailer, there's some Valkyrie, and that's going to be good. Guardians, whatever they're going to do with those guys, because they are funny with Thor. They work well with Thor together and everything like that. I'm just excited to see it. I'm just genuinely anticipating a fun night at the movies. And obviously, since I haven't seen it, I'm not embargoed, so I can spoil everything and say there's a huge Bollywood dance number maybe, and I think there's a bit where I think maybe Groot becomes the boyfriend of one of the no, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm really excited.
For a second there, I thought you actually did give something away with the Bollywood number, and then I was just remembering. No, I watched the episode of Miss Marvel last night.
That was probably more.
So yeah, no, you didn't spoil it.
That was actually convincing because I was like,
you spoiled episode 3 of Miss Marvel, but you didn't spoil.
It's like Thor Inception, something like that.
That was great.
In your heads now. Maybe I'll get it in Tiger's head. He's still got time. The film doesn't come out till what, next Friday the 8th? So
change it. Yeah, put it in.
The 8th. There's still time.
No
there
problem.
There is still time. You gather some people together, a bit of green screen, bit of Bollywood stuff, you're good. Yeah.
Well, you did mention something interesting, which was about sort of the Jane Foster issue. And it's really an issue that they've had, Marvel's had in almost all of the solo movies. It's certainly a Christine Palmer issue that they were able to somewhat deal with, but really they dealt with it by introducing a new Christine Palmer. They didn't really fix the old Christine Palmer. They just introduced the version from the Illuminati universe in order to get a better version of her in this film, or in the last Doctor Strange. I mean, I guess in a way Pepper Potts was able to get over that hump, right?
Oh yeah.
Like she transcended sort of the girlfriend thing. But that's sort of an overall Marvel issue. I think. What do you think about that? Sorry, James. Yeah, go ahead. I was
just going to shout out Zendaya in Spider-Man. I think MJ's a really
Zendaya. Yes, that's another good one. Yes.
But sorry, Wendy, go ahead.
But I do think it took a couple of films. That wasn't in Homecoming. She didn't transcend that really until I'd say Far From Home, and then certainly No Way Home.
True.
Yeah. What was your question again? So I can better word
just the idea of sort of the Marvel girlfriend problem that they've really had since 2008, and I think certainly that was part of the reason why Natalie Portman wanted to walk away from Jane Foster for a while, and probably in seeing Taika come back or seeing Taika come into the series and seeing maybe better reintroduction. Maybe MJ and Zendaya was a good example for her of seeing how this is starting to change and then deciding to come back to it. But your thoughts on sort of the Marvel girlfriend issue?
I mean, certainly there's been, I guess Pepper, you can say kind of, definitely had her own moment. As we saw, but I feel like in the past there's just kind of been like that side. I don't want to call them side characters, but
right.
They don't get the main spotlight, and a lot of the times they just kind of like hang out. I'm just like, let's give them something. Let's give them something. And I think with Jane Foster, it's really interesting. So when it was announced in 2019, I believe in Hall H, I was like, okay. And there's comic book that depicts that with the mighty Thor. So I think for me it was just how they were going to bridge the gap from what we saw in where she wasn't really even in Ragnarok, right? Nah, she wasn't in Ragnarok.
No, she wasn't in Ragnarok at all.
So
and her inclusion in Endgame is just a reused footage. Well, he didn't reshoot it. It was cut footage from the second Thor.
I gotta say, Taika did a really fantastic job bridging that gap in bringing her back and giving us the explanation that he gave. Which when you guys see the film, you will see. And it's kind of like what you guys said. Like you cast an actor like Natalie Portman, and then you don't give her much to work with. She'll give you everything. She'll give you 100% no matter what it is, because that's the kind of, actor she is. But it was kind of painful to sit there and be like, she gonna get more, or is she gonna get or she's just gonna play damsel in distress, because it's so opposite of not just Natalie Portman but Jane Foster as the character. Like, if you know about Jane Foster, she's not really damsel in distress. She's not a superhero, but that's not her personality. So I feel like I'm really happy with the journey that they gave Jane Foster, and I think a lot of the fans are gonna really like it. Like, she is this version of Jane is my favorite one.
Oh, absolutely. The one they did it to the worst, I think, in the Marvel universe is Betty. Is the Hulk's Betty. I mean,
Liv Tyler?
Yeah, and not even just Liv Tyler. I mean, listen, you can obviously
that was like Edward Norton stuff.
Well, the Hulk franchise in general obviously had some, but let's even say Ed Norton had stayed. I think they probably would have still run her character, sidelined her character. And not, and in the comics, she's a major, and especially if you read the, the Ultimates, the Avengers, that side world thing that they did in the early 2000s, the Ultimates. She's a major part of the team. She's the scientist on the team helping control Banner's, hulking. Yeah. So the fact that she's just like, and we brought back Thunderbolt. I mean, we brought back her dad, and it's like she doesn't exist in the MCU. They really treated her character badly, and I don't think it has anything to do with Liv Tyler's performance, or I think it has to do with the Norton movie not coming out the way they wanted it to, and trying to retcon it in certain ways as they have over the years since. Yeah. But bring back Betty, man. Betty got screwed. Anyways, that's my thought on that. But let's move on, because we also had Obi-Wan Kenobi finale this week.
Yes.
And the final episode of the 6-part series, and we got to see the final showdown, of course, between Obi-Wan and, well, it won't be the final showdown, but the final showdown for this series between Darth and Anakin, as well as a redemption arc for Reva, and a little cameo at the very end of the episode, which I don't think any of us were too shocked to see, but all very relieved. I think story-wise, it would have been a real missed opportunity to not finally bridge the gap from these prequels, and with everything that we know that Yoda says at the end of Sith about communicating with Qui-Gon. And for me, I just felt like having Liam reprise that role, even in a cameo, even, especially with Ewan, to kind of bridge all of that. I mean, it just really bridges, I think, for me, everything from the prequels through, sort of the Alec Guinness arc of New Hope. So to have that, I know we all were expecting it, and I think we would have been disappointed had they not put it in there, but I was very glad that they did put it in there, and sort of kind of put a cherry on top of this whole young Ewan Obi-Wan story. So James, what were your thoughts on the finale, the overall 6-part series, and how, now that it's said and done, falls into the overall Star Wars lore? And I mean, do you feel that it was time well spent, or perhaps an unneeded chapter?
I have to admit, I was a little bit disappointed. I feel like it started out well. It felt like we were getting this haunted, troubled Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan you would expect coming off a few years after Revenge of the Sith, still sort of trying to figure out what he needs to do, still looking over Luke, and then the whole Leia thing comes in, which I like the Leia stuff in general. I thought the young actress playing Leia was really good. and really sort of peppy and really funny and really captured the spirit of Princess Leia. But I think in general, there were certain things about the finale I enjoyed. I felt it definitely took a step up from a couple of the previous episodes, which had sort of been running in place a little bit, even in a 6-episode series, which seems amazing to me that you can have what feels like filler in a 6-episode limited series. It's just the clash between Vader and Obi-Wan was stylish and well done and fun. It feels like much more of a kind of a fight than they ever allude to in Star Wars, which is kind of a big plot hole that doesn't ever really get filled, because he's like, when I left you, I was but the learner, and he's like, but by the way, there was that big fight we had where you threw rocks at me and then you sliced my helmet open, and I'm still not over it. So it felt like maybe it had to be a big confrontation. It had to move Obi-Wan on in some way and do the Vader thing and everything like that. But I don't know, I feel like it turned into kind of an unnecessary stop along the way, and I didn't really get everything I was maybe hoping for from it, and I'm not 100% certain it justified its existence in the end. That said, there are bits I enjoyed. I thought Kumail Nanjiani was good in it. I thought, like I said, Vivian Lyra Brown, who's Leia, was really good in it. It's nice to see Jimmy Smits back in Star Wars. There were things about it I definitely liked. I just overall got to admit, a little bit disappointed, but appreciate the work that went into it.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that, because I mean, I've been thinking about that, about sort of how this story falls in, especially given, the encounter they have in New Hope. And it actually kind of works for me. Like, I sort of can still see this as the future Darth Vader referring to when I was but an apprentice. I think he hasn't been Darth Vader that long in the grand scheme of things, sort of 10 years. And so I feel like I can let that conversation that was written in 1976 still fit into what we've created in 2022. Do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't change enough for me where I don't think it still works. And I don't, listen, another 20 years is a long time. Especially, that there's a lot that's going to go on. Or is it just another 10 years? Another 10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Another 10 years is still a long time. So I think that there's a lot of room to grow, and for them to sort of forget, this encounter as being such an important encounter. You know what I mean? I'm sure even in that speech, he's probably still talking about, the battle on Mustafar. So from Sith. So I'm sure he's not really talking about when I hacked at you for a couple of minutes, and then Dirma Varma rescued you, and I think he's probably still talking about the Mustafar moment. So but Wendy, what were your thoughts on the overall series, the finale, and how it kind of fits into the Star Wars lore for you?
I'll start with my thoughts on the finale first. I thought it was a really great finale. It may have been my favorite episode out of the 6, because I think, for a lot of the reasons you guys said, that the confrontation between Vader and Obi-Wan, that big, flurry of lightsaber duel, is exactly what a lot of the fans wanted. I certainly was somebody who was looking forward to it, just because it's Anakin / Vader and Obi-Wan, so they got some things to work out. The choreography and the way they lit up that fight with the light blue for Obi-Wan, red for Vader, other than when the mask was cut in half and a little bit of Anakin peeked through, and they used a little bit of blue light in that before flipping it back to red, I thought was really, really great. I really liked all of the young Leia stuff. So I was satisfied with the finale, but I think a lot of what James said I resonate with. It's not a perfect show. I did think it started strong. I quite liked episode 1. And then after that, it kind of dipped for me a little bit. I think there were some plot holes. I think there were some things that felt it was explained, but it was kind of weird. I thought I wanted to like the Reva character a lot. I really did. And there's, again, nothing with, against the actress, because I think she did fantastic. And I liked a lot of the things that were revealed about her, and I think that showed another side of the repercussion of what happened with, you know, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader and Order 66 and all of that, and to see that it affected not just the Jedi themselves, but these younglings who are like, they literally look how she grew up, you know. But at times it felt a little shoehorned in, just to kind of squeeze it in there. And I wish, I say this for a lot of the episodes, for a lot of the series, that it feels like if we could have gotten a couple more episodes and like Reva could have had a more Reva focused episode, and I think that would have done her character, I don't know, more justice as far as explaining and giving us more of a connection with her. Because coming in, I think that's hard for a character like Reva, a brand new character, when this is literally like nostalgia city. You know, we got Uncle Owen, we got Aunt Beru, we have Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. So it's a lot of like, those are like a heavy hitters, and then you got a brand new character going up against it all. So that's kind of my overall thoughts, but I was really happy with that finale.
What were some of the plot holes? You mentioned plot holes.
Just more like plot armor.
Okay.
More like plot armor when Reva goes after Luke. What is she gonna do? She can't do anything to him because we know he survives, right?
Well,
there's that the confrontation between Vader and Obi-Wan, and it's like, oh, you were just gonna leave him again when Obi-Wan had the opportunity to strike him down, but he can't strike him down because we have to save that for A New Hope.
Okay, I see.
So there's a lot of like, and I'm trying to really hard to just like watch the show and enjoy the show as a fan, and I did. So I try not to think too hard about that. But then if we're on a show like this, then I am thinking about it. I'm just like, well,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, none of that really bothered me that much. I mean, I think like it was interesting because I actually thought that the first couple of episodes were a little slow. And then, you know, by 3 and 4, like we were right, you know, in it.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like there was a lot of filler. James, what was like an example of some of the filler?
Well, I just feel like there was sort of little side stuff like it's less filler and more just less satisfying things. Like there are moments where they're in the prison breakout, where they're breaking out of the Inquisitorium or whatever the heck their super underwater base was, and it feels like they're sort of people standing around being like, get them, and then they stand around for about 30 seconds to come in and do things. And you're just like, does nobody know how to defend a base in this place? I thought you were supposed to be the best of the Empire's sort of current group. And there were just sort of things like the what's his guy, the Zach Braff character, the alien picks him up, and then they sit there on the transport with the stormtroopers, and it's a nice little dramatic moment because they're going to get found out. It's like, what's going to happen? And then you have bits like they get to the checkpoint and everything, and Obi-Wan's like, oh, we have to destroy the gate to get to it. And it's like, you could walk around the gate. You literally could just walk around the gate. It's fine. So it kind of felt like things that weren't completely worked out the way they might have been. It felt like maybe a casualty of sort of trying to convert this thing from movie to version 1 of the TV series, and then they sort of sent the scripts back for being too dark and got someone else in and doing that kind of stuff. Like, not everything was quite as worked out as it could be. And then you've just got bits of, you know, like cutting back to Vader and his throne room and everything, all alone on his thing. It's like, who's showing up there? Who's showing up there to see him? No one's coming to see him. He's just got a throne room because he wants a throne room. Why doesn't he have a recliner? So, you know, why isn't he just enjoying himself? Why doesn't he have a big screen TV? But he's Darth Vader.
But yeah, that's interesting. I actually felt that there was more like filler. I mean, I feel like there's always one episode of filler in pretty much every Marvel Disney Plus series. And Book of Boba Fett was like 6 out of 8 episodes of just filler. So whatever they were doing in this one didn't bother me quite as much as, say, Book of Boba Fett, certainly, or some of the other Marvel shows. Well, moving on to a couple of casting announcements we got this week. One is the news that there will be a reboot for Netflix. I think we'd heard about this. Robert Rodriguez is rebooting the Spy Kids franchise, and we are getting Zach Levy and Gina Rodriguez in the roles that were played by Carla Gugino and Antonio Banderas in the first series of films. How many were there? Were there 4 original? I'm forgetting. There are at least
I think it's 3,
right?
I think 3.
3. Was there maybe a 4th?
There may have been a 4th one.
I think there was like a 4th reboot one later that maybe didn't quite reboot it or something. I forget. But then there's other. Yeah, there's a lot of Spy Kids movies, and then is Machete their uncle? And I don't mean.
Oh my gosh.
Danny Trejo plays their uncle, but I mean, I believe he plays their uncle as Machete, correct?
I think he is just a family-friendly Machete. Yeah,
I think a family-friendly version of Machete, right? Yeah. But I believe Machete is in that canon as well. I don't know. I know I saw the first one, but I don't remember really seeing too many after that. Wendy, where does this franchise live in your heart? And are you excited or annoyed to see a remake?
I'm excited for those who are into the franchise. I think
that's a very diplomatic answer. That was a very.
I don't feel a certain way about it. Like I liked Spy Kids, but I wasn't super invested. Like I got to go and see every single one. But I do know people and their kids who love, and I know plenty of people that love Spy Kids, and I hope that this news is exciting to them. And some people they love Spy Kids. So I hope, how you have one of these like they announce they're gonna remake a movie that you love, and you're just like, yeah, oh no. So I feel I hope this turns out to be something really great for them. I think they have really great names attached to it so far. So hopefully it's good.
Absolutely. James, what's your thoughts on another Spy Kids and specifically on a remake with this cast?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I was ever the target audience for the Spy Kid movies, but they were fun and inventive, and it's Robert Rodriguez. The nice idea is that it's Robert Rodriguez still writing, directing, producing, probably doing craft services, probably doing the music, probably doing things.
He's playing his guitar on set.
Exactly, probably bringing Baby Yoda in for a second. Yes. I'd support that. But I mean, I think the casting is great. I think Gina Rodriguez is fantastic. Zachary Levi can absolutely do the charm and do the action if needed, but it's always about the kids doing stuff as well as the parents. And I think particularly Everly Lea, I think who is playing the daughter in the new thing, she played the little kid Maggie in the After Party, and I thought she was fantastic in the After Party. So she seems like really good casting. She seems like she could bring something really fun to it. So I'm intrigued to see it. I mean, obviously it's Netflix, so it's not like you're rushing out to the cinema to see it necessarily, but I'd watch it. I'm just not, really connected to the Spy Kids franchise as a whole. It doesn't offend me that they're doing a reboot. It makes me interested that it's Robert Rodriguez. I'd be fascinated to see what he thinks he needs to redo, or what his new ideas are, what his new technology is he's going to bring to it, because he loves to add on extra technology whenever he makes a new movie. So we'll see. It should be, at the very least, I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure the film will be shot in Austin at his studio there. And I wanted to unpack something for a second, Wendy, and let me ask you this. What do we think of Zachary Levi's post-Shazam choices? Because we're seeing, because he was in a movie where he played NFL quarterback Kurt Warner in a faith-based but fairly good football film called American Underdog that came out last year. Now he's got, taking over the Antonio Banderas role in Spy Kids. He's got another Shazam film coming out, but kind of staying in the sort of leading man action star realm. Don't see him taking, supporting role in a risky, Sean Penn indie or anything like that. What do we think about these? Are these sort of safe choices, or what do we think about his post Shazam opportunities?
I think he's in a really good place where he can pick and choose what he wants to do. I am sure there's tons of script coming his way. I'm sure his team is very busy taking or turning down offers. And I think after doing something like Shazam, it looks fun. I'm sure he has a great time on set and everything. But superhero movies are no joke. Like, it takes a lot of, it's not just you got to flex your acting muscle, but you have to literally, because he's the lead hero, he has to be in good shape. So there's a lot of training and discipline that comes with it. So like, it doesn't surprise me if he's taking like a little bit, obviously stay in the leading man lane, but also taking fun movies like the Spy Kids one. I think he's having fun with these, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he took like a sharp left turn for the next project and do something super indie and super dramatic.
And he also has a musical theater background, I believe.
Yeah, he was in Tangled as Flynn.
Right. So yeah, I could definitely see him, in something like, in a musical, some sort of a musical or film like an Elvis that has music, something like that coming up for sure. Well, kind of touching on some news that we were talking about last week and just sort of revisiting because George R.R. Martin came out publicly this week saying that it is true that there is a Jon Snow sequel series in the works. The working title is in fact Snow. And some of the interesting tidbits that kind of came out of this story, besides the fact that we know for a fact now that it is in the works, is that this was Kit Harington actually pitching this idea to HBO, bring in his own showrunners to put this project together and get it sort of fast-tracked and greenlit and towards production. So, James, let's start with you. What are your thoughts on at least, we had this news last week, but now having the sort of confirmation that it is moving forward and that the fact that this is something that Kit really is spearheading as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, George R.R. Martin, occasionally he'll sort of take you behind the scenes with his blog and everything like that. He'll let you know what's going on. He'll confirm or deny stuff, or he'll talk about it. And this is interesting because as he said, and it didn't really, as far as I'm aware, it didn't really come out in the original report that this was Kit Harington approaching the team to say, I'd be interested in doing this. It's Kit Harington bringing his own show running team in to HBO and to meet with George R.R. Martin in New Mexico to really sort of like develop it. And the fact that it was actually in development, very, very early discussions, development, whatever you want to call it, since I think around 2016, 2017, around the same time that all the other sort of live action spin-offs were being discussed. I think there's 4 of them right now that are all in various script stages, according to Martin, of development. So it's kind of interesting, as Martin says, that it's fascinating that this one didn't leak. You would think that this one, possibly the biggest of all of them, didn't actually end up leaking. So, nobody really got wind of it. There was a rumor about it, I think. I seem to remember reading around the time that there were rumors about it, but there was no official sort of confirmation. Obviously, there was no real detail on it. So it is kind of fascinating. As for what it could be, it's obviously, Jon Snow at the end of the season, at the season finale, he goes back past the wall to like go with the wildlings and do that kind of stuff. So is it going to be him hanging out with them? Is he going to have to like rejoin Westeros and do those kinds of things? And if I'm really brutally, truly honest, do I want to see more Jon Snow moping around? I mean, he got a big chunk of the storyline in the original Game of Thrones. If I'm being 100% honest, I would be happier watching a Brienne of Tarth show. I'd be interested in watching somebody feed Drogon, where Drogon, like who flew off at the end of the season finale with Dany's body, just goes to different places and basically meets people and eats them. So I'd go for that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Kit Harington's a great actor. I think Jon Snow was an interesting storyline. I just feel like we've seen a lot of it. Do I need to see more? I'm willing to be impressed, to quote Sean Connery from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'm waiting to be impressed, rather. And yeah, we'll see. I'll wait and see. We have, I think I've said this before, we have a policy at Empire, which is every day is Christmas Eve. We don't write something off until we've actually seen it. So, could be great. Could just be, nothing Jon Snow times 5 seasons.
Yeah, I'm a little torn here. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I like the idea of, we know we're getting a prequel. I like the idea of a sequel. However, James brings up some great points that I don't know if I need to see 2 or 3 seasons more of Jon Snow moping around. But Wendy, what are your thoughts on this confirmation that and the idea that this is something Harrington wants to do, that this is an idea that he had?
I think that may be the most interesting thing to me is that he felt that he wanted to, he brought this up and he's going forward with it and they're letting him going forward with it. So I'm wondering exactly what it was that he pitched because I think it's pretty big that, the actor is like, hey, I got this idea. I'm going to bring in my own showrunner for his own team that hasn't even been cleared for release yet, according to the reports that we're reading. So I think he's got a clear vision of the story he wants to tell. And if that's the case, as a fan, I am interested in what story he has in store for us. And I think one of the big things that has me interested in seeing this, is because it is going to be a sequel. So what happens after season 8, right? So does that mean we do get to see more Sansa and more of Arya and the remaining members of House Stark? Like, that's what I'm very curious about. So I don't think it's going to be super, yes, it is going to be Jon Snow focused, but I think we're going to get to see some of the other characters that we know and love. It's almost like I don't want to call it like a GOT 2.0. It feels weird to say it like that, but
that's
potentially
what you're looking for, something that would basically be moving forward in the timeline with whoever still exists, and we want to be able to incorporate the existing Starks and everyone, and then sort of move forward. Yeah, I mean, I would be more interested in that than just the Jon Snow. Like, I agree with you. I hope that the Jon Snow storyline propels other storylines as well, and that it's not just Jon Snow essentially. But we shall see. And then last thing we'll mention before we go is some Dune casting, some Dune news. Actress Lea Seydoux, who was, of course, in No Time to Die and Spectre as well before that. And most recently in Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future, will join Dune Part 2 as Lady Margot. She is part of the Bene Gesserit. Which, of course, is those sort of weird nun-like characters with all the powers that we saw test young Timothée Chalamet in this first one with the test. So I don't know. She's a great actress. She was maybe the only thing I liked about Crimes of the Future. So she and was very good, I thought, as the James Bond love interest in the last 2 Bond movies. So kind of a no-brainer choice, I think. Kind of feels like a good casting for this role. Wendy, what are your thoughts on her joining Dune 2?
I think all the names that are popping up for Part 2, I am really, really happy with. We also know that Austin Butler has been cast as well. So I think Denis Villeneuve is just like collecting good actors left and right, like their Pokemon. And I am excited. Like, I actually wasn't expecting a name like Lea Seydoux, but now that I see it, I can't unsee it. And I think having her as a part of the Bene Gesserit is going to be very interesting. And I still haven't finished the book, so I literally still don't know what's going to happen in Part 2. I think my plan is to read up to where like midpoint, for where Part 1 ended us with, but I haven't really gotten to that part yet. I've been really slow on my on my reading. I haven't had time. So I kind of want to go in without knowing too much. I enjoyed the first film that way, so I think I'm going to enjoy part 2 that way, and then come back and revisit the book.
Yeah, Austin Butler is playing the role Sting played in the first one, so I think it's actually really cool casting where you had a rock star played this character in the first movie, and now the actor known for playing the greatest rock star of all time is going to appear in this one in the same role. Also Florence Pugh, and very excited. I think this was mentioned a few weeks ago. We maybe glommed over it a little bit, but Christopher Walken is joining the Dune franchise.
That's right.
I think it's really exciting as well. James, any thoughts on Lea's casting and joining this film?
Yeah, I think she's a great addition. I mean, honestly, I really liked what Denis and what Jon Spaihts and what the rest of the team did with the first movie. I think they very smartly adapted what is a very, very difficult book. I appreciate that they've cut it in half. They were very brave to do that, because obviously there's no guarantee that they were going to make a Dune Part 2 if the Dune Part 1 didn't make any money. So yeah, I'm thrilled to see they're getting to go ahead. He's cast some absolutely wonderful people. I mean, obviously, you want an Emperor of the Universe, you're going to cast Chris Walken. It's great. He's going to be fantastic. He's going to be weird enough, because that character is slightly weird anyway. So he's going to be fantastic. And Lea Seydoux, whatever that character exactly gets up to, there are some certain things I think that she does in the first part of the book that don't show up in the film necessarily, but there's some other stuff in the second half of the book. And Wendy, I know you haven't got there yet, so I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but I was doing my sort of due diligence in researching the character to write about what she's going to be doing. And there's stuff that could be happening that could be really interesting and really crazy. So yeah, I'm fascinated to see what she brings to it, and obviously she's going to bring her, excellent talent to it. So I could not be more excited for Dune Part 2 right now. I mean, everything I hear about it, as the pieces start to fall into place, who's playing who and what they're aiming to do with it, I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see it. I really hope it's as great as Dune Part 1. I frankly, everything I'm seeing so far makes me think it will be. Honestly, I really can't wait to see it. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well, as I know, Wendy, you are. And that actually is it for today. That's all the time we have. But we want to thank our audience for tuning in and remind you we are just one of the shows on the Hollywood Critics Association's YouTube channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and tune in to Pop Council every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And finally, we want to make sure that you're checking out all the after shows and other programming we have on HCA's channel. James, thank you so much for coming in and being our guest again this week. Let everyone know where they can check you out on social.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having me. As always, it's always a blast. If anyone does want to find me, if they're not completely turned off by my silly jokes on this show, you can find me on Twitter at @JamWhite, at Instagram at JamAWhite, and then also EmpireOnline.com, where I write a big chunk of the news stuff and things like that. Also, my personal column these days, which is on Substack. Yes, I know everyone's on Substack, just like everyone does a podcast. And you can find me under Jay Writes, that's JAYWRITES, and that's just jameswhite.substack.com, where you can find me doing weekly reviews of stuff, pop culture, sort of comment columns, all sorts of things. And yeah, if you want to read my stuff, that's where you find me.
Awesome. And Wendy, where can everyone check your stuff out?
You can find me all over all the social media platforms at this handle right here, just my name at Wendy Lee Zaney, or you can find me on the Movie Couple channel on YouTube. And of course, right here every Monday at 11 a.m. PT on Pop Council.
Absolutely. And you can check me out at moviephone.com. Check out Moviephone for all your showtimes, reviews, interviews, and so much more. And we will see you right back here next week at 11 a.m. for another Pop Council podcast. Actually, no, we won't. Next week is the 4th
of July.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes. 2 weeks.
No pop counts on the 4th of July. Enjoy the beach, everyone. Have a hot dog and enjoy the 4th, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.